Program. Our next topic is L1 visas, trends and changes to policy. I'll be the presenter. I think I've already introduced myself, but I'm Jake. I've been practicing immigration law in the state of California for, feels like almost 20 years, but it's been a while now, and I'm enjoying it quite a bit. I focus on employment-based immigration, and we help companies of all different sizes and backgrounds with all the issues that come up that I'm sure you know about, and so I won't spend a lot of time. But I enjoy coming to these events and lecturing and sharing and meeting everybody. It's a great amount of fun. Also on the panel is Untitled Chapter. Oh, and if you could advance to her slide, that would help me. There you go. She's founder of the USI Law firm that's here. You can find her table back there and get some wonderful information about her firm. And she's been in practice for over 20 years, specializes in corporate immigration, and has a Washington, D.C. based firm where she helps clients of all different types and backgrounds as well. And we also have on our panel Samir Mato. And if you would come up, we'd appreciate it. He's Associate Director of Global Mobility and Immigration at United Health Group. Extremely experienced in areas of global mobility, immigration, visas, visa management, compliance, controls of process, and data analytics, reporting, and so on. He's also got great business relationships with the consulates and the various agencies that touch immigration and his company. So we're glad for Samir to be with us, and looking forward to sharing with the panel. Okay, so we'll talk about L1 visas here, and don't forget the Slido. You're going to have questions. We're going to try to wrap up a little bit early so we can have time for all of the questions. I think most of you know that an L1 visa is an intercompany transfer. You'll be sending somebody from, let's say, India, who's been an employee for at least 1 year during the last 3 years, send them to the United States on an assignment, either as a person who is an executive or manager, or as a person with specialized knowledge, okay? These are people who bring great value to the United States, and so the United States has a special program, L1A for the executives and managers, L1B for the specialized knowledge workers. And now we're going to talk about various trends and things that are happening that we see as practitioners in the various areas, the L1A and the L1B. Speaking of the multinational managers and executives, one of the things that we see as a trend, or at least I do, is that the USCIS is interested to make sure that the manager will not be doing any administrative duties. A manager shouldn't be doing administrative duties, and they should be mostly delegating the work to the employees. And so if you cannot show that, then you're going to have a hard time in some cases proving that the manager is actually functioning as a manager. Some of the ways that we show that are through organizational charts that will show the level of responsibility of the manager. Of course, if there are multiple layers of reports that are coming under the manager or executive, that's an obvious one. If there are not so many layers and it's not clear or it's vague how much responsibility the manager will be having, then immigration or USCIS will be confused, and they might issue RFE, or they could even deny the case. So some of the ways we try to remedy that is by providing resumes of the different reports or other credentials from the people that are reporting to the manager or executive. This can be helpful to show immigration that these are also professionals or people of responsibility that are reporting to a manager, and under the immigration regulations, if the manager is responsible for other professionals, then that is a qualification for the multinational manager. Also, a high salary could be an important factor in whether or not a person is operating as an executive or manager. And certainly we can give job descriptions for those people who are also in the organization that are supporting the manager. And especially, I think that for the administrative tasks, it's important to highlight on the organizational chart how the manager is being supported in the admin functions. Who's doing that? Will it be one of the reports? Will it be somebody off to the side? Who's making sure that appointments are being met, or the phone is being answered, or all of the other things that administrative people will be doing. A manager or an executive will not usually be doing productive kind of work alongside the other employees. They should be, again, delegating the work to be done through others. And that's what you would expect, right, from somebody at that level. Okay, another thing that a manager may do is to be responsible for people who are working outside the organization. It could be a team back in the home country from the foreign office. It could be that the manager is responsible for external vendors or contractors. And so when that's happening, it's good to show or provide the supporting documentation that there are contracts in place, or maybe there are invoices to the vendor or to the contractor who the manager is responsible for. So you can establish the relationship is actually there and that it's something that is part of the business operation. You could include dotted line reporting to also show responsibility and to give context to that manager's function. Okay? One of the things that immigration is also asking about is the physical space available for work. And so you will see a request for evidence sometimes asking to show how is it that the manager will be working, where will they be, and if they don't see that there's an actual physical location where that person will operate, they think that it's not a real manager and that this is not a traditional role, and they will have some concerns about that. So you can provide a lease, maybe a floor plan, photographs, a business license, or other things that help show there's an actual physical place to work where the workers will go, where the manager will do his or her job. So especially when you're describing the role of the manager, do not be vague, do not be general, okay? These kinds of terms, responsible for, or in charge of, these are going to be trouble spots, because immigration will ask what it means. So if you're just saying directs a certain function or oversees people doing a certain job, that's not going to be enough. I think it's important to be very specific and mention what are the specific ways that this person oversees the activities or supervises or directs, and give points about how that is done. Do they give feedback during performance reviews or evaluations? Do they call for meetings? Are they responsible for setting up projects with these individuals and making sure that those things are being done? And how is the reporting coming back through a system, perhaps? And just to give all of the information so that USCIS will understand it's a real management position and not something that's hard to understand. One of the things that you also want to do is to break down the percentage of time that will be spent by the manager in these various functions. Probably most managers will have some small portion of activity that is that could be just not so elevated, but that should be the minimum part. That should be 5% or less of the activity, and the bulk of the majority of it should be in the manager activity or executive activities. And you can show that by breaking down these job duties in specific percentages of time. And that will be one of the requests of evidence that you will see continually with L1A managers, is break down the job duties into percentage of time. And they also do that for the H-1B workers. You've probably seen it as well. Now let's shift over to the specialized knowledge workers and talk about trends that we see there. Last year in August, USCIS provided a policy memorandum which was to help clarify what it means for specialized knowledge and how USCIS interprets what that means. And so they were able to confirm that preponderance of the evidence standard is applicable to these cases, which basically means that when USCIS will look at a case, they should be persuaded that